Everyone go deep. So yeah, it's pretty. Get down.
Josh?
Hey, Spinny.
You're living here.
Well, yeah. For now.
All right. Well, schedule just came out, so we should probably do the thing.
Get your popcorn ready, get your coat from Macy's, and buy another couple of tables because it is time for the Mafia Minute, where we discuss all things Buffalo Bills. I am Magnum Mills here with Jamie G to break down the 2024 Bills schedule. But first, a little housekeeping. Thank you for checking out the Mafia Minute presented by CSGAP Fantasy Football. Find us wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, on social media at CSGAPFF. Find us on the internet at MafiaMinute.com. Thank you for remembering that stuff. While you're at it, try not to forget the flaps. Follow, like, and please subscribe. Last thing I'll ask, if you had fun, please hit the thumb. Jamie G, these people are sick of me. You introduce yourself and tell us how you're feeling. We got the schedule. Draft is in the books. You feeling pretty good about your Buffalo Bills or what?
I am feeling pretty good about my Buffalo Bills. And look, it's mostly because we have Josh Allen at quarterback, and I think he's amazing. I think he's going to be great, even greater than he's been. And I love that for him. I love the challenge of reshaping this offense with his leadership. I think it's going to be amazing. And I'm really excited about, two newish offensive coordinators. Obviously, the full-time gig handed to Joe Brady, coming in first off-season really to get this thing going. And then on the defense side of the ball, getting a new defensive coordinator, Bobby Babich. They love this guy. He's been a great coach for the linebackers, credited with developing the likes of Matt Milano, and then last year with Terrell Bernard. So great coach. We'll see if McDermott still calls the plays or not, but really excited about that and just kind of the refocused, going on at One Bills Drive right now. And I'm pumped, dude. I thought the draft was really successful. And, I'm happy with how they've navigated the offseason so far. I know there's been some tough pills to swallow, but honestly, we had to. And I'm really excited about not just this year, but what this team's set up to do to be great for the next couple.
Yeah, before you do it, you're going to blink, and that pit is going to be a brand new stadium. That's how that works, apparently. It won't be a hole forever.
Speaking of which, Mills, if you haven't seen it, and anybody in Bills Mafia has not seen it, Josh Allen's been living in the pit.
All right. I'll see you later. I'm going home. Yeah, they've been letting me stay here for the last couple weeks. The only thing they say is keep your helmet on, but it gets uncomfortable at night, so I take it off. Just don't tell them that.
And they did this whole thing where he's out there, he's playing golf, he's got his bed, he's got all the things he needs. He's got drills set up out there. He wears his hard hat. He hangs out with some of the guys working on it, but he's been staying out there. It's awesome clip. Maybe our producer will be nice enough to go ahead and play it right now, but it's very cool. And Josh has been feeding the pit all off season.
It's a simple life. It's not much, but it gets the job done. Got my accuracy tire, getting real big and strong. I got my golf clubs. I got a little par 3 over there. You never know you're gonna be in a tough lie, so it works out pretty good.
It makes sense. I mean, he's probably stolen from Andy Dwyer, played by Chris Pratt in Parks and Recreation. He definitely lived in the pit for one point, but it was a good enough plot point. And you could. Chris Pratt's really not that bad a company to be in these days. Probably got a couple $100 million, married to one of Arnold's daughters, I think. So life could be worse. Jamie G, the Bills went ahead and did 2 things that we talked about them maybe doing in our free agency preview. They signed 2 wide receivers, Chase Claypool, Marquez Valdes-Scantling. A little bit similar in that they're both bigger, faster guys, but kind of 2 different guys. Claypool's trying to stay in the league. Valdes-Scantling's at least proved he's a serviceable part-time deep threat. What do you think about these guys? Do either of them make the roster? Do they both make the roster? Are you more excited about one than the other? They got kind of similar 1-year prove-it kind of contracts. How are you feeling about these additions, and do you think either of them could stick?
They both do, because that means they both are performing. I think the Chase Claypool thing is brilliant because it's absolutely zero risk with all the reward. This is the type of investment I love to make. there's no risk here. If he's not what they want and he's going to have a tough competition in that room, then see ya. But all the weight is on his shoulders. He's got to produce, and he knows it. I really like that. Excited to see what he can do with this quarterback in this offense. We'll see where his head's at. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of was like wondering if they'd do a Zay Jones reboot and bring back Zay. He obviously snubbed at us and went Southwest. That's fine. But Marquez Valdez-Scantling, maybe they didn't even want to say. I don't know. But MVS here, look, dude, he was an absolute killer in the playoff game, in the playoffs down the stretch, and he had a big game against the Bills, couple key catches. I think he offers something to this offense that will be beneficial that they don't have. And I also think it's a little bit of a veteran presence, won a couple Super Bowls, good locker room guy here. Excited about him being part of the guys and part of that room. Also, Josh Allen spoke very highly of MVS. Got the speed, got the size, go up and get it type guy. I know everyone points to the missed ball, that he had last year in the regular season, but he showed up in the playoffs.
I like that. And if you carry 6 wide receivers, they can conceivably both make the team. So it's definitely on the table there. And we're still waiting on Micah Hyde. He has said it's Bills or retire. Give me a percentage, 0 to 100. What do you think the chances are that Hyde plays for the Bills next year?
70% that he's coming back, but it might just be when they're ready to make their run. Look, man,
he probably doesn't need even training camp at this point, right? He knows the defense, staying healthy is probably more important. He's probably one of the few players that could get away with it in the locker room or whatever if it came to it.
Absolutely, dude. He's beloved. He's a big reason why that franchise got turned around. He was one of Sean McDermott's first free agent signings. Sean McDermott has installed a legacy when it comes to safety play for the Buffalo Bills, and I love it. And Micah Hyde's a big reason. I would love for him to be on this team. He wants to win a championship. He's just had a couple really scary neck injuries, man, and I think he's just kind of up in the air about whether he risks it or retires. I think going back to Buffalo and having his charity softball game this past weekend, where I might add Josh Allen crushed in the home run derby and won that bad boy. I will say I think that got the juices flowing, being back around the guys and some of his brothers on defense and that team. I'm giving it a 70% chance he comes back. But the Bills, they protected themselves in the event that he didn't, drafting Cole Bishop, signing Mike Edwards and a couple other kind of rotational pieces, bringing back Taylor Rapp. They're covered if he doesn't, but that door is always open. I want Micah Hyde to be a defensive backs coach for the Bills once he retires. I love the guy, dude.
Nice. And I guess we should point out also with that softball tournament, Jordan Poyer went and said that Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the league, even though he no longer plays for the Bills. So that went a little bit viral on social media, even though we were saying, he's like, yeah, it's probably even viral, isn't it? So I think the Bills fans like to hear that. Minor note here, the Bills reached a deal there once again, holding training camp at St. John Fisher University. You cool with that, or you wish it went a little bit closer back to the lake how it used to be when they were in Fredonia back in the day?
I loved back in the Fredonia back in the day, just because for the people in that part of the region, you'd get to see them at the movie theaters. You'd get to see the players out at the restaurants. You'd get to see, go out to Sunset Bay and, or Hideaway back in the day. And which I hear Hideaway's coming back. Somebody's redeveloping that a little bit. But anyway, I'd love for it to be at Fredonia, but I understand why the St. John Fisher is important, and it helps bridge the gap between, central New York and Rochester and that part of the universe, even Syracuse to a lesser degree, people being able to get involved and getting excited about coming to see him play in Buffalo. But my preference would be a little bit closer to home for the Buff.
Split the difference. Say when they move into the new stadium, would you rather them have training camp just, at their facilities, basically, which some teams do now?
Yeah. I think there's value in going away college style and everyone having to be in the dorms and stuff. I do think there's a lot of value to that. You build a connection, but you got a mostly veteran team here. I think they probably could get away with doing it under the new facility, but I don't know. That St. John's Fisher, it's been what they've been doing the last 10 or so years and or longer, and seems to be working out fine for them.
Oh, I'm just throwing that out there because honestly, that might be the only way some of the Bills fans get to see the stadium. Those are going to be tough and expensive tickets to come by. We know what the PSL price tag is. And in some sadder news, John Murphy, the longtime play-by-play announcer for the Bills, the voice of the Bills, announced he is stepping away from his position ahead of the 2024 season. And very good announcer, been around forever. He was a color guy before he was the lead guy. So, Jamie G, thoughts on John Murphy?
He's legendary. I grew up, my youth of becoming a Bills fan and watching the Bills as a kid with my dad and, families and the 4 Super Bowl and all that throughout all the years, basically almost my entire life. He's been calling it the last 35 years. So, basically since I've been playing football, most of my life he's been on there. I love it. I mean, he is the voice of the Bills. When I think about the soundtrack of, Freddie Jackson, Stevie Johnson, Ryan Fitzpatrick, even back in the day with Jim and Andre and all that, he's the voice behind it. And I love Murph. He's fantastic. I think, local guy, basically living out his dream job. So happy for him. I mean, that's awesome. And we'll see if he's still involved some way, shape, or form with the team. I think he will be.
Yeah, he said he's open to being involved in the broadcast somehow in a different capacity, and he is from Lockport, New York. You were right, Jamie G. I guess we should note that the Bills made a bunch of changes in their scouting department, most notably Matt Bazirgan. You have to try this one, Matt Bazirgan. Most notably, Matt Bazirgan was promoted to Director of College Scouting. He was previously the team's senior personnel executive. Any thoughts here? I mean, no real impact, but I guess figured it's kind of the thing you have to know, right? It's scouting matters, certainly. We hope their scouting was good for the draft picks they just made, right?
Yeah, and I think it's important, especially because a lot of people don't realize this, but the Bills have lost several members of their front office and coaching staff over the last couple of years, most notably to the Giants, where assistant GM, former player personnel executive Joe Shane went and is now the new GM. So they've been a front office and a team that a lot of talent from a coaching and front office standpoint has been plucked away from. So I think it's important that Brandon Beane, great GM, continues to promote and develop talent at the front office level. That's almost as important as coaches developing talent on the field. I mean, really, like you have to have it. So I think that's really important, and it's good to know. I trust Beane. He's done a pretty good job of bringing people up.
And it can be profitable to do so. This day and age, you can get draft picks for that. You develop, some executives or whatever, and I know that I think the 49ers got a third or something like that last year. So you always want to be cultivating talent, both to, have it in-house and to maybe get a little bit of value out of it. And probably not a big surprise, but Keon Coleman has gone over really well with Bills Mafia so far. And he reached out to former Bills great Andre Reed, who then surprised him at the rookie symposium or whatever. He was rocking the Macy's jacket or whatever, and he gave him a box of cookies and a chicken wing chain necklace, which I do enjoy, and I think we might have to get one of those for our Mafia Mannequin next season. Definitely something to talk about. Anything to add as far as Keon Coleman's initial introduction to the Bills Mafia and whatnot?
He made a huge impression. He stole the show. He was so real and genuine in his approach. Saw the cookies and was like, man, you guys mind if I eat one? Started eating the cookies. I mean, just a breath of fresh air from how awkward it's been to interview a wide receiver who was on this team, that got traded away to Houston. So I think this was just a breath of fresh air for all of Bills Mafia and everyone in the media. And as much as there's been that hype and that stuff around him, he has been really impressive in terms of his respect for those who come before him. You mentioned Andre Reed, and also his commitment to, it doesn't matter what the hype or noise is, it's what I do on the field. And I think that's really cool. And just his commitment to doing everything he can to be the best Buffalo Bill he can be, and just working with Josh and everything else. So really excited about Keon Coleman, man. I think so far he's passed with flying colors, but again, we need to see him with the pads on the field.
Right, and we need to see you in the Macy's jacket rocking the chicken wing necklace. So you're going to have to work on that. That's going to be part of your off-season training regimen. And Pro Football Focus named Christian Benefort as the Bills' most underrated player. Jamie G, do you agree with that? Most underrated player on the Bills, Christian Benefort.
I think he is, Mills, just because some of the more underrated players on the team have kind of gotten some notoriety, and Matt Milano is a phenomenal all-pro linebacker, and then Taron Johnson is a phenomenal all-pro slot nickel corner. I think he, being a 6th or 7th round draft pick, Christian Benford has been phenomenal. He emerged really as the number one corner on that team, before the Rasul Douglas trade. And even when Rasul Douglas came, he was kind of 1B to his 1A. Douglas obviously had more of an impact on the turnovers, but Christian Benford's been awesome. He's been nothing short of impressive, not afraid to cover the other team's best, and has done a really good job in that scheme. And I think that speaks to him as a player, but also the coaching and just how important the secondary is in a Sean McDermott defense.
I believe all that. I believe that you believe all that, but I still think if I injected you with some truth serum, like in True Lies or whatever, and asked you the same question, you would say that Josh Allen is the most underrated player on the Bills.
Believe it or not, I could make a case for it. I just didn't want to do it, but I couldn't make a case. He's extremely underrated, and he's constantly.
I know he appears in your dreams every night, but you're not allowed to factor that in. Let's kind of finish up the Bills on Parade, the news here with a little fun bit. NFL quarterbacks Josh Allen, Kyle Allen, and Sam Darnold were playing golf against social media stars Bobby Fairways, Joey Coldcuts, Fat Perez, when Josh Allen let us in on a little secret drinking game that he plays with his friends. This is pretty simple. Everyone in the room playing the game has to hold a drink. You have to hold it in your left hand. If you move it to your right hand accidentally, you have to drink a drink. Josh Allen says you have to chug the entire drink, but that could be a lot. What do you think about this one, man? I don't know. That feels just like drinking with extra steps.
How cool is Josh Allen here, dude? The fact that he's got a game like this, you want to hang out with a guy. Imagine you're playing golf and you're right-handed, and every time you catch it, it's a fun thing to constantly bring up. You're going to get caught a lot, especially as the day goes on. I love this dude, and I just think that's the type of competitor he is. He even competes in his drinking. You got to love Josh Allen here for this. This is super fun.
Well, and I can also tell you right away, there is going to be a huge advantage here, generally, if you are sitting in the passenger seat in the golf cart, because then the drinks are always going to inherently be on your left. If you're driving,
right,
your instinct is going to be to reach with your right hand. So if you're ever going to actually play this, make sure you're not driving the golf cart. It'll really help increase your odds, I think. I think that's very important to point out. So that's my guess is see Josh Allen, the smart guy, probably what he does. And what do you think's a better name, Bobby Fairways or Joey Coldcuts?
Man,
Bobby Fairways is pretty good. I think I've heard Joey Coldcuts before. I've heard Coldcuts. Bobby Fairways, especially as a golf nickname, that's a great golf nickname.
Great golf nickname. It's golf season, so we'll lean there, but you can't go wrong with a couple cold cuts.
Yeah, sorry, Fat Perez. You're definitely in third place by quite a bit there.
What happened to Jerry Gabagool? That's what we needed. All this over some Gabagool? Come on.
Oh, yeah, this is the Gabagool, and then cut to the super cut of The Sopranos, or we could just cut to the Buffalo Bills 2024 regular season schedule. If you're watching on the YouTube, we'll put it up there, but I'm not going to read the whole thing to you because we will probably talk about it in bits and pieces. Let's just start kind of with the overall top-down view. They right now are tied for the sixth hardest schedule. The Vegas win total is 10.5. And according to Sharp Football Analysis, the Bills are +5 in net rest edge. So that's trying to measure how many short weeks they have to play off of versus other teams coming off a bye, playing a short week, whatever. The Ravens actually lead the league at +16. San Francisco is last at -21. So the Bills are definitely a little bit on the positive side, if not crazy for it. And they play 3 short weeks. You have one Thursday night game turnaround there, 2 Monday night football games. What do you think, kind of taking all that overview in? You knew the teams you were going to play. How do you think about the way it just sort of played out here? And, do you think it is, called a middle of the road difficulty, or do you think it is one of the tougher or easier schedules?
I think it's tough just because they're a winning team and have won their division and they're going to face other winning teams. So I do think it's tough. I think, obviously having to play the NFC West is difficult because you got, 2-3 away games out West. But I will say, I think last year was actually probably harder, just considering the London trip and some of the ways the league screwed the Bills with that and others. So for me, I think it's probably an improvement from last year, but it's still, it's probably where it needs to be. 6 hardest. I mean, there a lot of good teams they're going to face.
And any complaints really kind of about the way you're opening up? You get home versus Arizona. You get to be home. Is that, given your schedules, is there anyone else you would have rather play? Would you rather have it be the divisional game up front? Do you like getting one of those NFC West games out of the way early? Would you rather face the 49ers, get it out of the way early? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, but I don't like this last 3 weeks of the season being, Patriots, Jets, Patriots. I think that, I'm not a big fan of playing the same team 2 out of 3 weeks. I just don't think that's good for anybody because, you have so much familiarity, especially a division team, 2 out of 3. It's just, it's tough. So I'm not a big fan of that. I'd rather they sprinkle that in a little bit. And I'm not a big fan that we didn't get a ton of home field advantage in terms of when it gets cold. I know, New England and the Jets are all used to being, cold games. I hate that our last game is away at New England. I'd rather that be home. And we didn't really get any relief on any West Coast or, Southern teams coming into Buffalo in the winter. That's the one thing that really sucks.
San Francisco in week 13, maybe. It's December 1st. There could conceivably be some snow there. I mean, it's Buffalo. Could snow in November, but given the recent years, the snow has not been quite as prolific, although when it snows, it really snows like it did at Christmas the other year. I think there are really kind of three main sections to the schedule here. We'll go with poker terminology. So I'm going to call this the flop. This is week 2 through week 5. Because you have the Thursday Night Football game week 2 at Miami. Then you're home versus Jacksonville on Monday Night Football. Then you're at Baltimore on Sunday Night Football. And then you're at Houston. That's crucial. 3 road games in 4 there. You have 3 short weeks. There's a lot going on there. And then you have the Diggs Bowl. I think that's a huge section of the season. And, as much as you want to say, oh, they're going to win every game, you definitely would love to win 3 out of that, but I think you need to at least get 2, with probably the Miami game being of the utmost importance. What do you think about the flop there?
Yeah, I mean, look, dude, they're all 4 AFC teams that all 4 are going to be vying for playoff positioning. So that's the other thing about this. There's not a NFC, not that you just throw away NFC games. And if I got to lose one, I'd rather it be an NFC game. All 4 of these are AFC. So, and they're all 4 winning programs. So, I mean, this is a tough stretch here. I'm with you. I think if you go 3 out of 1 here, you're thrilled. Obviously, 4-0 is incredible, but you go 3 out of 1 here, I think you're great. Yeah, at a minimum, you got to go 2-2.
Yeah, I think with a little bit of the emphasis on the Miami game, and then you kind of have
Well, Baltimore's important here too because, let's not forget that I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. The Bills have a lot to do. They got a lot to prove, to even be in a position to make the playoffs, win their division, etc. But the last couple of years, they've been in the conversation for the number 1 overall seed, game or 2 out. We've seen them get number 2. So a win against Baltimore, which is a team that you could conceivably believe you will maybe have. I mean, they had the number 1 seed last year. So I think that's really important too. And, Houston, while people are projecting a lot for them, there's a really solid chance they win that division and maybe go to the playoffs. So I think having wins over those 3, not that Jacksonville doesn't matter, that's at home Monday Night Football, we better win that. But I do think that, there's some serious playoff implications here this early in the season. It's crazy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, both from the tiebreaker standpoint, Baltimore and Houston both favored in their divisions. And then before we get to the turn, you have the stretch, which is basically week 6 to week 10. And that's where you just have to take care of business. At the Jets, versus Tennessee, at Seattle, versus Miami, at Indy. Not a lot of sexy games on the schedule there, but that's where you really need to make your hay there because then the schedule gets a lot tougher from there on out. So I think that's where you got to look at that and be like, oh, we got to win. You want to win 4 or 5 of those games here to really set yourself up for the turn. Because Jamie G, the turn, it can kill you. 4th Street is a mother. Weeks 11 through 15, you're looking at versus Kansas City, week 11. Then you have the bye. Then coming out of the bye, you have San Francisco at home, at the Rams, and then at Detroit. I mean, that's pretty crucial, right? You get Kansas City, that's going to be a big one. That is, again, probably playoff implications, you would think maybe. And it's, always just a huge matchup rivalry game. San Francisco game, that's both teams in the Super Bowl you're facing with the bye sandwiched in between. The Rams are going to be tough on the road, and Detroit is a tough place to play right now. So what do you think about the turn, man? It's a brutal stretch right there.
I think it's a really brutal stretch. Obviously, you got your bye week 12, which I like. That's a good time to have the bye. Kansas City Bills, every game's basically an instant classic. That's a phenomenal matchup. It's one of the best matchups in football. Excited about that, but that's really important, Mills, because we got him at home. You feel like it's a game we have to win. That helped us get them at home last year in the playoffs. I know we didn't win that game, but it helped us get them at home. And I think if we're going to want to have, home playoffs again, we're going to have to win this one at home against Kansas City. I think that's really big. And then you get your bye week, which is great, but then you got San Francisco. Now, the only thing I like about this is I've been dying to see the Bills play San Francisco. I predicted it as a Super Bowl, I think like 2 years in a row now. So I can't wait to see this matchup. Sunday Night Football at home. I think this is the game of the week, but it's going to be extremely tough. San Francisco is a great team. Familiar face with Leonard Floyd coming back home to Buffalo there. And then the Rams are no joke, dude. It's a way West Coast game. I think that's going to be tough. And then Detroit is one of the better teams at home in the league right now. So, again, I'm curious to see how they match up against Detroit. But this is a brutal stretch. I mean, these are 4 playoff teams. I mean, not the Rams. Well, no, the Rams made the playoffs last year. So, 4 playoff teams here. And, tough games here. So, excited to see how they do during this stretch. If they go 3-1 here, I'm feeling great, but I think again they got to at least win two of them.
Yeah, that's tough. That's 3 of the 4 teams that played in the conference championship games last year. That's definitely a stretch. And for what it's worth, I think Chris Berman picked Bills 49ers to be in the Super Bowl like 6 years in a row or something ridiculous in that stretch of the early 90s. I think just every year he just kept doing it and became his thing for a while. So you're not alone when it comes to that. And then you teased it before. We have the River, week 16 through 18. Week 16 versus New England, week 17 versus the Jets, week 18 at New England. They like to do this by stacking the divisional games at the end to ensure that they matter. One way or the other, there's probably going to be some weather involved. How do you feel about this? Are you just hoping at this point that the Patriots have put in Drake May and Aaron Rodgers is off doing something else or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, look, we'll see if the Jets are in playoff contention. I don't see New England, quitting. Whether they're in playoff contention or not. But I do think that these are 3 wins for the Bills. I think they need to win all 3 of these, and I think they can. But you're right. There's going to be weather. They get 2 home. I just think it's extremely difficult to play any team 2 out of 3 weeks. It just is, and win them both. So that's really hard. I get that the Patriots aren't the best version of the Patriots right now, but it's still a professional team. It's still a division rivalry. They still have a good defense. I don't like that, but I think the Bills need to go 3-0 there.
I think you're probably right. And if you really want your mind blown, there's definitely a mathematical situation where they can play 3 times in 4 weeks then.
Yeah.
Not impossible. Pretty unlikely, but it definitely could legitimately happen. That would be pretty wild. That would probably have to be some sort of record, I would think.
I mean, and the Bills have played New England 3 times in a season before, but 3 and 4 weeks, that might be a new one. But hey, it's the Bills. I think we're legally obligated to go through the schedule game by game to predict the Bills' record. Honestly, the only thing I can't figure out is whether or not they rest the starters after they clinch the number 1 seed in week 14. I guess we'll just cross that bridge when we come to it. Bills, it's at least somewhat less biased. Yeah, you're not as biased as I am, so you're gonna go ahead and fulfill our obligations to Johnny Law.
Hey, I believe that's a Roger Love when we're talking about the NFL. Sorry, Mr. Goodell, please don't exile us to the moon or the secret base in the core of the earth or whatever. Don't do that to us.
But Mels, it is Herbie Hancock though, right?
I think so. I mean, he signed my declaration. That's all that really matters. All right, so let's get on to the predictions. Week 1, home versus Arizona. I like it. I think this is a win. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. has a big one, 100 yards and a touchdown. But Keon Coleman makes a big catch late, sets up a game-winning field goal from Tyler Bass. So we got the win there, 1-0. Week 2, at Miami, Thursday Night Football. On the Tuesday before the game, Odell Beckham takes Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle clubbing in Miami. Then they get in a fight with Rashee Rice because he's down there partying while he's on suspension. All 3 of the Miami wide receivers miss the game. Bills win by double digits. Easy peasy. Week 3, you got Jacksonville home on Monday Night Football. And you got some Josh Allen on Josh Allen prime. The Jags defense is playing well. They sacked Josh Allen twice. But unfortunately for the Jags, they kind of forgot about their offensive line. And somehow Von Miller gets 5 sacks, including a full-on king-size combo meal. And for those recording at home, that's a strip sack fumble recovery for a touchdown. Bills win a close one, 3-0. Week 4, very tough game. We talked about it at Baltimore, Sunday Night Football. Derrick Henry runs for over 200 yards and a touchdown, but it takes him 62 carries to get there. The Bills win a squeaker on the back of a single Ray Davis touchdown and 4 field goals by Tyler Bass. So 4-0. Week 5, this is a big one. You got the Diggs Bowl at Houston. Bills are down 2 touchdowns at halftime. Stephon Diggs is torturing them. He's got 7 grabs and a touchdown in the first half. But in the locker room at halftime, Diggs gets on social media. He sees some Texans fan make a post about the one drop Diggs had in the first half. Diggs immediately requests a trade. That's denied, so he retires right then and there in the locker room. CJ Stroud gets tilted. First pass is a pick the other way. Christian Benefort takes it to the house. Bills end up winning by double digits, 5-0. Week 6, again, another big one, Monday Night Football at the Jets. Luckily for the Bills, the Jets have been in a spiral since Aaron Rodgers stopped playing in Week 2. Nobody really understands why. He did actually appear. It was a record, Jamie G. 37-hour appearance on the Joe Rogan podcast. He tried to explain it all. And so there's chips in the football helmets are communicating with the brain chips. I don't really know how it works, but the Bills are actually going to look like they're going to lose, man. Tyrod Taylor's in there. He's slinging it. But, of course, Tyrod Taylor gets hurt in the second half, and the Bills come back. And unfortunately for Tyrod Taylor, he dislocated his hip when he sneezed. So it was really looking good until then. So 6-0, Week 7 at Tennessee. You know what? It's finally time for an easy one. The Bills just cruise against the Titans because Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, and Tony Pollard are all already hurt. And Treylon Burks sets an inglorious record with 11 drops in a single game. That record will stand for a while. That's 7-0 right there. You're getting there. Week 8 at Seattle. The Bills are up at 10 by halftime. So the Seahawks say, screw it. They take Geno out. They put Sam Howell in, and boom. Howell's doing it. He's moving up and down the field. He's got the Seahawks in position to win the game with a short field goal, but he gets sacks and fumbles while trying to execute a kneel down. Matt Milano takes it to the house to ice the game. 8-0. Week
Let's
9,
go.
you got the Miami rematch. This is a big one, but Tua is really unhappy already because Miami hasn't given him that contract extension. So all of a sudden, he gets a little, let's call it, under the weather when there's a sudden snowstorm in November. That forces the real Mike White into the lineup. He does avoid the hospital, but the Bills win by 20. 9-0. Week 10 at Indy. Surprise, surprise, the Colts are scuffling after Anthony Richardson suffered 6 different injuries in the first 3 games. Joe Flacco's Magic Clippers don't fit anymore, and he turns it over 3 times. Easy victory for the Bills, 10-0. Week 11, Kansas City. This is the big one. And the Chiefs are already playing shorthanded because Travis Kelce is unavailable. Apparently one of Taylor Swift's cats is sick, and he's the only one she trusts to watch it, so he can't make the game. But somehow, deep in the third quarter, the Chiefs are up by 10. Mahomes has played well, but the refs have been even better. The Bills have been flagged 12 times to just 1 penalty for the Chiefs. It looks terrible for the Bills, but disaster strikes for the Chiefs when Rasheed Rice enters the stadium on a fan boat, just like Bobby Boucher's mama in The Waterboy. Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, Xavier Worthy, Isaiah Pacheco, and Andy Reid are all injured in the crash. Because this is the NFL, the show must go on. And after the debris is cleared and the ambulances leave, the Bills got a victory in overtime. So he even managed to beat the Chiefs in overtime. It's huge. 11-0. Week 12 is the bye week. You beat the shit out of that bye week. Nobody gets arrested. Major victory. Still 11-0. Week 13, you're well rested against the 49ers, coming off the bye. 49ers have played their 3rd road game in 4 weeks. Bills crushed the 49ers. James Cook, Dalton Cade both scored multiple touchdowns. 12-0. Week 14, you're at the Rams. Puka Nacua go nuts. They combined for 33 receptions, but the Rams offense can't get in rhythm because Sean McVay insists on changing running backs after every play. Ironically enough, Ed Oliver catches the game-winning touchdown pass after checking in as the 4th tight end on a 4th and goal at the 1 situation. So you do it. There you go. 13-0. You got the big game at Detroit, and the Lions are currently the best team in the NFC. But unfortunately for them, the entire team attended the final show of Eminem's The Death of Slim Shady tour the night before, and they did not skip the after party. A visibly hungover Dan Campbell falls asleep on the sidelines multiple times, and the Bills win easily. 14-0.
Let's go.
Week 16 versus the Patriots. Guess what? In week 14, the Patriots had their bye, a little late bye there, but they said, all right, screw it, we got to put Drake May in there at some point. Surprise, surprise, he gets roughed up by the Bills in his 2nd career start. This one gets out of hand, and Mitch Trubisky winds up with more fantasy points than Drake May that day. Shout out to your DraftKings lineups. That brings us to week 17, home versus the Jets. Jamie G, believe it or not, Aaron Rodgers came back to the Jets for some reason. Still don't know why, but he does now have his own YouTube show, which he spends 4 hours a day, 6 days a week recording. The Bills win behind an epic 4-touchdown performance from Josh Allen, but a live stream of Rodgers from the locker room racked up over 4 million viewers. So he did that at halftime. He's got that going for him, but the Bills are now 16-0. They need one more. They have to go to New England. And after watching Drake May start 3 games, the Patriots realized that they once again need to start their search for a franchise quarterback over. And because Gerard Mayo isn't a stubborn prick, instead of starting Jacoby Brissett or even Bailey Zappi, he calls up Joe Milton from the practice squad. Milton throws the longest air yard pass of the season, an entire 99 yards. And he also throws 5 interceptions, fumbles once, and the Bills complete their 17-0 run. I mean, it's pretty obvious when you put it that way, right? I mean, seriously, like the other teams will just beat themselves. All you need to do is stay healthy and just let other teams self-destruct.
When you put it like that, you got me believing. It is 17-0. You know, Josh Allen wears number 17. 17 wins sounds about right.
I mean, the most
that's
realistic
honestly,
thing is that Rashee Rice finds a way to get himself involved twice.
yes. Yeah. And honestly, Mills, this is the best way to do predictions at this time of the year. So thank you for that, my dude. Bravo to you.
I appreciate that. And we're going to try a little something new here. We're going to each give a Bills bet. Just like it sounds, we have, all these lines up on DraftKings now. Let's just throw a couple bucks on the Buffalo Bills. What do you think, Jamie G? I have one for you that I will start out with, and I think you'll like this one. Give me Keon Coleman over 4.5 receiving touchdowns on the season. That's plus 100. So throw $100 on it to bring home 200. I'm feeling that one, and I got a feeling you'll probably like that one too.
I love that one. I think that's a slam freaking dunk.
Jamie G, what do you have for us? Are you going to double down on Keon Coleman with me? You're going to get your boy Josh Allen involved? You got some Tyler Bass field goal props? What do you got for us?
Found one I really like. No Tyler Bass field goal props, although I do expect a bounce back here. Dude, I got to go with my guy Josh Allen here. I'm taking the over 37 and 3,700.5 yards. I'm giving him the little hook there. That's fine. 3,700.5 yards here, minus 110. And just so everyone knows, the last 4 years from 2020 to 2023, Josh Allen has averaged over 5,000 total yards. Yes, some of that's running, but a lot of it's passing, and 44 total touchdowns every 17 games for 4 years straight. It's fucking nuts. Love you, Josh Allen. Thanks for being great. Keep it up. I'm going with Josh Allen over 3,700 yards.
Yeah, I feel like the Diggs tax is too much there. It feels like definitely that is being built into the number there, and I think they might have gone a little bit too far with it. Jamie G, anything else before we get out of here? What do you got?
Just curious, Mills. Do you think Josh Allen could throw for 3,800 yards with, John Brown and a bunch of no-name receivers?
Oh, of course, yes, because of the way you phrased the question, obviously.
It was rhetorical. Anyway, thank you for giving the right answer.
Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Rhetoric over there. Anything else before we get out of here? I should know we will be back at least one more time before training camp, but we're about to hit the closest thing the NFL has to a down period here in June. So get it in while it's getting in. Jamie G, anything you'd like to add before we get out of here?
Just that, it was nice to see the guys back in town for the softball game, and then, of course, rookie mini camp. And, yeah, there'll be a little bit of lull here in June, but we do have some OTAs. And then, of course, end of July, we get training camp. So it's not that far away. And I'll just say every year the schedule comes out, and it's always, oh, my God, the world's ending. They'll be all right. They'll find a way. The Bills are a good football team. They got a good head coach. They got a great quarterback. They're going to be all right. Let's get excited, man. I'm pumped to see him come out there. I cannot wait. Let's have a healthy and a good offseason. Hit the ground running, man. Come September, come game time, I'm ready to get after it.
Absolutely. Yeah, stay out of trouble. That's always a good one. Just to have some fun out there. We like to do the Bill stuff. Maybe we'll even get around to watching that Tom Brady roast and talking about it. Might be fun to see Tom Brady get roasted a little bit. I wouldn't mind seeing that guy getting taken down a peg or two, just like he took Greg Olsen down for the number one spot on Fox. Also cost Olsen about a cool $7 million in the process. Good for you, Tommy. Thank you, good for you very much so, for checking out the Mafia Minute presented by CSGAP Fantasy Football. Once again, you can find us wherever you get pods, on YouTube, on social media at CSGAPFF, on the web at mafiaminute.com. Make it easy to remember, just like those flaps. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, give us a thumb. And it just, shows everybody that you care that much about the Buffalo Bills, because of course you do, right, Jamie G? Everybody should care at least a full thumb worth about the Buffalo Bills. Maybe even 2 thumbs, but just click the one and hold the other one up.
Yes. Give the thumb. Make sure you follow us. We'll see you again before the season starts. Have a great summer, and let us know what you want to talk about, what you're most excited and looking forward to for the upcoming Bills season. Drop a comment below or get at us on our social medias. Slide in the DMs, and I will respond. Go Bills. Makes me want to shout. I want to jump through a table. Can't wait to tailgate. Let's do it. Drinking beers, having a great time, eating good food, watching the Bills win football games. There's nothing better.
You watched that game last night?
Oh, yeah. Why not?
Yeah. I didn't. I found this tarp and rebar around here. It's a little noisy in the morning, but it actually is a good wake-up call. Some people have a rooster. I've got a guy named Rooster that just kind of hits all the metal, so. All right, it's been fun.
So we open with the Cardinals, Miami, Jaguars, the Ravens, Texans, at Jets, Titans, Seahawks, Dolphins, the Colts, Kansas City, bye week, 49ers, Rams, Lions, Patriots, the Jets, and at New England.
Steve! Are you staying or are you coming?
Are you kidding me? I'm not going anywhere.